There's no doubt that AI is having a huge impact on our world right now, and it's also having a big impact on the stock market. So, how is AI impacting the stock market? How is it impacting the technology and specifically the semiconductor sectors? Are we in a bubble? Let's find out. My name is Brian Cannon, and welcome to Markets in 5. All right, I got a lot of charts I want to get to, so I'm just going to jump in. We're going to start with the normal chart, the S&P 500, to get a kind of check on everything. Where the market kind of had consolidated some of its prior gains and then broken down. It broke above the downtrend, broke above the 200, and basically gave us the green light. Where we were getting some turnovers of some crossovers to the downside on the moving averages, everything is up and pointed to the right. So everything looks really good right now. The RSI is overbought, meaning that it's going to consolidate some of these gains. So we want to check basically this uptrend right here. As long as this stays intact, we want to kind of keep the trade on. But if it starts to roll over, then we could anticipate it breaking this trend and coming down and maybe finding some support on the 50-day moving average, which would be down about 5%. So we'll be watching that closely, probably nipping and tucking a little bit. Okay, when we look at the S&P 500 relative to, or the NASDAQ relative to the S&P 500, the NASDAQ is more tech heavy, meaning that technology is a larger part of the overall index. And so when the NASDAQ is outperforming the S&P 500, it tells you that you want to lean into technology, you want to lean into semiconductors, you want to lean into those types of sectors. And then when it starts to consolidate, maybe you kind of get a new theory. And if it starts to roll over, then obviously it doesn't pay to be in technology and semis. And so, you can use this information to kind of start to use your sector rotation to rotate in and out of certain sectors. There's definitely sectors that are in vogue, like for instance, right now, technology and semiconductors, but that also will pass at some point. And other sectors will come in and take their place. But you can see that basically since the beginning of this year or a couple months into this year, it's just been a straight up climb where basically NASDAQ has beaten S&P hand over fist, which tells you technology and semiconductors are winning the race right now. Speaking of semiconductors, obviously that's been where you've wanted to have your money this year. In fact, year to date, the semiconductor industry the sector in whole is up a couple 100%, which is unbelievable. So it's just going to the moon right now. There's so much energy and excitement around AI and who's the companies that are involved, and it's pretty much anything AI, anything semiconductors, just gone to the moon. Again, I believe whatever goes up will be the first to come down. So we want to watch this trend very, very closely and make sure that we capture some gains and look where money's rotating to next. But right now, it's where the trade is. In fact, one of our largest positions that we've put on and let ride is Micron, and Micron is again just going to the moon. So basically, since this breakout here, it's gone up 135%, and that's literally in less than 2 months. And that's one of our largest positions that we're in because it's a growth stock. They can't make enough memory for the demand. And so what you can see is that when Micron had this nice steady run up, obviously then it started to reverse its trend and head down, and it had a lower trend. It broke out down here, and it's now created a very consistent kind of touch point, or what we call support line, on the way up. But you can see that we are way, way, way above the mean. So I believe at some point there will be a mean reversion. Stocks just don't keep going to the moon. They will come back, and generally speaking, they'll come back to their mean. But right now, that's just not the case. So we're watching it very close for a reversal. But essentially, when you have RSI just completely in the green and above the 50, and granted it's overbought. It's okay if a stock is overbought and stays there for a while, because obviously there's a trend. This company's making money hand over fist. We just want to make sure that this doesn't rotate back down to a situation where eventually it just starts to underperform and have a downward trend. So we will be taking profits on a lot of our semiconductors here pretty soon, probably. In searching for and finding good companies that are having breakouts and participating in those is something we want to do. So, with the trade of the semis and pretty much everything that kind of touches AI, we identified a company called Datadog. So it had a nice, steady, kind of consistent trend up with a very good support line. And so there's been several consistent breakouts that have been very viable over time. But essentially it came down, it held the support line and then had a breakout. We bought that breakout, and this stock inside of literally just 6 weeks or whatnot is up, was peaked at around 120%, give or take. It's starting to pull back a little bit, so we're looking to potentially, take profits to a degree. But we're also watching the RSI. The RSI is terribly overbought. So if this starts to drop back down, we will definitely exit that position and look for the next position. But kind of gives you a sense as to how we approach identifying stocks that go into our portfolio. So we want to find the sector that's running. We want to find the subsectors that are driving that sector's performance, and then we want to find the stocks that are driving the performance of that subsector. And those are the positions we want to be in. We want to use technical analysis to determine, is it technically trending up and we want to participate, or is it technically rolling over and we want to go ahead and take our profits. So in wrapping up, you can see that the technology and specifically the semiconductor market has just run to the moon. So we're not day trading. We can never pick the top or pick the bottom, but what we want to do is effectively play the trend. Is the trend up and to the right? That's the bottom line. And so we want to find the sectors and subsectors and ultimately the stocks that are driving that performance, and we want to participate. When they roll over, we want to take our profits and move on to the next trade. But if you have any questions, give me a shout, and I'll see you on the next Markets in 5.